A millionaire's heart breaks for a single dad on the subway. What happens next is unbelievable. Elena Ramirez had the world at her feet. Billionaire entrepreneur, trailblazer in tech, and the kind of woman who turned heads in any room. But on that bustling Monday morning, as she descended into the chaotic heartbeat of New York's subway system, she felt a different kind of pressure. The train rattled and groaned, filled to the brim, as the doors slid open. A sudden wave of commuters swept her in, and it was in that moment of frenzy, of bodies brushing past each other, that she collided with him, Liam O'Sullivan, a man in his 30s, hair disheveled, denim jacket frayed at the edges, his little girl Zoe, with wild curls and a spirit fiercely bright, tugged at his hand, eyes wide with wonder amidst the chaos. But right then, her father's face told a different story, one of fatigue, sacrifice, and an unshakable determination cloaked in anxiety. Elena stumbled back, annoyance flaring in her chest. But as she locked eyes with Liam, irritation morphed into something else. Curiosity. There was a raw vulnerability behind his blue gaze, a flicker of unyielding strength that somehow pulled her in. She caught a hint of exhaustion around his eyes and felt an ache in her heart. This was a man on the edge, struggling to provide for the feisty child at his side. "Sorry," he murmured, adjusting his grip on Zoe, who bounced on her toes, eager yet slightly apprehensive. "It's crowded, huh?" His voice cracked slightly. Crowded? Elena was about to roll her eyes, but instead found herself entranced. They stood shoulder to shoulder as the train jolted forward, and in that brief instant, the world seemed to narrow to just the two of them. As they began to talk, the usual sounds of the subway, the rush of wind, the screech of metal, faded into the background. Liam spoke of his two jobs, the weight of eviction looming over him like a dark cloud. Each word was heavy, each confession more intimate than he'd probably intended. "Zoe deserves better," he said, glancing down at his daughter, who giggled, oblivious to their conversation's gravity. "But things are tough." His raw honesty made Elena's heart flutter unexpectedly. She, too, knew pressure, the weight of expectations and impending scandal in her empire. Yet here was Liam, a single dad pouring everything into the future of this little girl. Just as their connection deepened, an urgent vibration interrupted them. Liam's phone buzzed with a message. His face paled, tension radiating from him like heat. His ex-wife was back, sending ripples of trouble into his already turbulent waters. "Everything okay?" Elena asked, almost breathless. "No," he whispered, gripping the handrail tighter. "Not even close." Suddenly the subway came to a jarring halt, the lights flickering ominously, shadows chasing each other across the faces of the passengers. A collective gasp swept the train. Elena's heart raced. What darker secrets loomed in this crowded metal box? What truths, hidden behind their worlds, awaited unraveling? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The sudden jolt of the train coming to a halt sent murmurs rippling through the packed compartment. For a moment, there was silence, a collective breath held in confusion. Elena's gaze darted to Liam, and the tension in his features threw her heart into a freefall. "What's happening?" she breathed, her fingers tightening around the metal pole. The lights flickered overhead, dipping them into a dim glow before returning in rapid succession. A broken heartbeat. Liam didn't answer, his phone buzzing again in a frantic rhythm. He glanced down, the pallor of his face accentuated by the overhead lights. Hold on." His voice trailed off as he read the words that flashed across his screen. The train swayed, and around them emotions brewed like a storm. Someone gasped in the corner. Another passenger raised their phone, recording what felt like the beginning of something catastrophic. Elena felt a creeping dread. Something was wrong. And then she heard it, a shriek slicing through the murmurs. A woman, perhaps in her 50s, clutched her chest, staggering. "Help! Someone call for help," she gasped, eyes wide in panic. The vibrations of the subway grew louder, setting her heart racing. Anxiety filled the space, weaving through the crowd like a dark fog. Passengers shifted nervously, muttering. Elena instinctively moved closer to Liam, who crouched down, cradling Zoe protectively. "Stay close, Zoe," he urged, eyes still glued to his phone. But the moment hung in the air like a tense promise. What would come next? Then the woman collapsed. It felt as though the whole world stopped. Chaos erupted around them. Shouts rang out, panic spilling over. "Call 911," someone yelled. But as the train doors failed to open and the lights dimmed again, Liam's phone illuminated his face, casting a blue hue. He turned, staring into Elena's eyes. "This isn't just bad news. My ex, she's back, and she's in trouble too. She's in jail." "What?" Elena whispered, the sudden revelation hitting her like a punch. The weight of Liam's confession hung heavy, like the freight cars above them. Her heart raced as she tried to process the unfolding truth. Liam's face twisted with worry. "I need to get her out, before she—" His voice broke. "Before she comes for Zoe." "Who is she?" Elena pressed, breathless. The other passengers were drifting further into their own panic, unaware of the revelation just exchanged. As if he finds out about Zoe. If she finds out about Zoe. Wait, Elena interrupted, panic suffocating her thoughts. Is she? But before she could finish, the lights flickered off completely, plunging them into darkness. A collective gasp erupted, followed by nervous laughter. "It's just the subway," someone said, but the tremor in their voice told Elena otherwise. Then it happened. A loud boom. The train rocked violently, metal grinding against metal. Panic rippled through the crowd. Someone screamed, and that one sound sent hearts racing. The commotion took on a frantic life of its own. Voices overlapped. A wave of hysteria began to build. Suddenly, the door at the far end burst open, casting a harsh light through the gloom. A figure loomed, backlit by the streaming sunlight. The crowd parted, and for a moment, everything felt frozen in place. Liam's face paled further. No, no. Elena squinted, and realization hit her like a cold slap. It was his ex-wife. As the chaos spiraled and she stepped inside, the reality of her presence infused the air with a deep sense of unease. And just like that, in a heartbeat, the quiet connection they had forged crumbled away, replaced by a rush of questions. Who was she? What did she want? Would she threaten Liam's future, or Zoe's? Before Elena could think, the figure's eyes locked onto Liam's, and an electric tension surged. "Surprise, Liam," she said, voice dripping with dark delight. "You really thought you could hide?" Elena's heart pounded, as she took a step back, uncertain of what would happen next. The words hung like a guillotine, and in that moment she knew. Everything she thought she knew about Liam's fight was just the beginning of a much larger, more dangerous game. What would they face now? The answer was looming, and it felt terrifyingly close. Elena's heart thundered in her chest as the woman stepped closer. The chaos around them faded, sucked away like air from a balloon. There she was, Liam's ex, a dark figure cutting through the light, and yet the tension only heightened when their eyes met. "Surprise, Liam," she taunted, her voice dripping with a sinister sweetness. "You really thought you could hide?" Elena felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Who was she? What darkness did she bring? But before she could wonder any further, the train jolted again, a spine-chilling lurch that sent a ripple of panic through the crowd. Everyone held their breath, tension rising like smoke. The woman leaned closer, a sly smile creeping over her lips. "He's been playing the hero, hasn't he? All alone with the little princess." A guttural tension crackled in the air. Liam's muscles tightened. while Zoe's innocent face looked between the adults. But you haven't really thought this through. You really think I'd just vanish? What do you want? Elena's voice rose above the chatter, demanding clarity amid the chaos. What is this all about? The woman's smile shifted, darkening. You'll see soon enough. All I want is what's mine. She flicked her gaze to Liam, eyes narrowing dangerously. And then it happened. A loud crack. The lights flickered again, and then went out. Darkness swallowed them whole, gasps echoing in the void. The train shuddered, a furious groan vibrating through the metal. Get down, someone screamed, fear contagious. Phones flashed, illuminating frantic faces. Panic bloomed, a virus prickling the air. In that chaotic moment, a loud bang erupted, echoing through the train like a gunshot. Passengers screamed, stumbling back. The world gripped them in tight fury. Something shattered. The windows cracked. Light spilled through the broken glass like molten gold. And suddenly, the woman lunged forward, her actions swift and feral. Liam's eyes widened. No, stay back. But the commotion eclipsed his voice. Elena's heart stopped. As the chaos reached its peak, the woman pulled something from her pocket, a small, dark object, and aimed it at Zoe. A flash, and in that instant, time seemed to stretch. A blinding light, a deafening noise, and then silence. Zoe's bugle from moments ago now echoed in Elena's mind, a painful reminder of what was at stake. Liam stumbled forward, but it was too late. When the light faded, everything shifted. Amid the twisted metal, the murmurs subsided. Elena blinked. Against the harsh light, urgently searching for Zoe, for Liam, but what she faced was not what she expected. A figure, soot-blackened, standing tall against the wreckage. Zoe was not by Liam's side anymore. Instead, someone else stood next to him, a teenage girl with wild hair, a wrecked grin on her lips, and an unmistakable aura. What's going on? Elena gasped, confusion mingling with dread. The girl's mischievous smile widened, stretching to an edge of darkness that made Elena's blood run cold. Guess who's back? Every heartbeat in the subway seemed to stop. Elena's mind raced. Who are you? Someone you won't forget. And I've got secrets that could flip your world upside down. The panic surged through the compartment again, disbelief gripping the passengers. What was real and what was fabricated? This wasn't just a confrontation anymore, it was a revelation. And as Liam turned to face the new figure, his expression transformed from desperation to terror. No, it can't be. Elena trembled. What did this mean? What hidden truths were embedded in this web of lies? But as the crowd erupted in shock, she realized everything they thought they knew had just been obliterated. The stakes were higher than ever, and whatever darkness was dawning, it was only the beginning. What's going on? Elena gasped, confusion flooding her as the teenage girl flashed a grin that made her stomach twist. Guess who's back? The girl taunted, a voice that dripped with mischievous confidence, the light around them flickering dimly cast. Eerie shadows on their faces. Elena's heart sank deeper as she watched Liam's expression shift from desperation to horror. No, it can't be, he muttered, eyes widening as recognition dawned. What do you mean? Elena shot back, fear lacing her tone. She stood closer to Liam, instinctively bracing for whatever this girl would unleash. But before the girl could respond, chaos erupted again. A rumble thrummed through the train, shaking it like a leaf in the wind. The sound was low at first, then built into a terrifying roar, sending shockwaves through the crowd. What the hell is that? A man shouted. Fear rippled through the passengers, voices rising in confusion and dread. Just as the overhead lights flickered out for the third time, the train shook violently, jolting everyone off their feet. Cries filled the air, shouts of fear mixed with flailing bodies. Elena grasped Liam's arm, the warmth of human connection grounding her in that madness. Stay close, he shouted, pulling Zoe against him, who was wide-eyed but silent, sensing the tension. Then came the terrible cracking sound, like thunder echoing inside a narrow tunnel. In an instant, something sharp and metallic pierced through the air. People screamed, diving for safety, and Elena's heart thundered in her ears. Liam pushed Zoe down, shielding her with his body. Elena's fear morphed into frantic urgency. "Liam, what do we do?" But as she called out to him, the teenage girl took a daring step forward, eyes gleaming. "I wouldn't move if I were you." The surprise isn't just me. Suddenly, a deafening bang erupted and a blinding light flooded in. The broken windows splintered further as thick smoke poured into the compartment. Elena's breath hitched in her throat. She coughed, the air thickening with panic. And then she saw him. A man, dressed in dark clothing, stepping through the wreckage, face obscured by a mask. He walked with ease, the crowd parting in instinctive fear. "No, not him," Liam breathed, the terror radiating off him like heat. "Surprise!" the masked figure shouted, a wild gleam in his eye. "Liam, you didn't think I'd let you slip away, did you?" His voice was filled with a manic glee, echoing in the chaos. Elena's gut churned. The pieces were falling into place, but not in ways she could fathom. Who were these people? What did they want? "Please, just leave Zoe out of this." Liam's desperate plea cut through the noise. But it made the man laugh. A dark, mocking sound. "Oh, but she's the whole point, Liam. You've made it so easy for me." As the man suddenly lunged forward, everything hit Elena like a freight train crashing into her chest. It wasn't just about saving Zoe. Liam was trapped in a web much darker than she could have imagined. The girl smirked, leaning back against the wall, watching the scene unfold with dark amusement. She flicked her hair back, revealing a hint of familiarity. "Didn't you recognize me yet?" Elena's heart raced, the pieces finally cracking together, but it was something twisted, something she never wanted to believe. A name slipped from her lips. "You're Angela?" The girl laughed softly, her expression dangerous. "Surprised? You should be. Daddy's been wrapped up in some enchanting tales." Elena's blood ran cold. Angela wasn't just a random figure. She was Liam's past come back to haunt him. A part of a life buried, but not forgotten. But how deep did this rabbit hole go? Before Elena could fully process the implications, the masked man grabbed Liam's collar. "Time for the grand reveal. Let's see how deep you'll go to protect her." In that moment, darkness descended. Everything around them felt like it was unraveling. What did he intend to do? How far would he go? And more importantly, what secrets lay buried, waiting to resurface? Elena's mind raced. She had to act. But how? Before she could even breathe, a deafening scream echoed through the train, the shriek of someone terrified, and suddenly everything felt terrifyingly fragile. Was this chaos only a taste of what was to come? Elena's heart raced as chaos swirled around her, the air thick with confusion and fear. The masked man loomed over Liam, his grip tight and possessive. Every second felt charged with electric tension. "You really thought you could escape this?" he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. Liam's panic was palpable. "Just let Zoe go," he shouted, his voice raw with desperation. Zoe clung to her father, eyes wide, but Elena felt a deeper dread, a roaring fear that something unseen was about to break free. They were on the brink of disaster, and the whole subway was a ticking time bomb. But then, just as the air felt suffocating, the teenage girl stepped forward, her grin widening. "You really don't know, do you?" she taunted, leaning back against the train wall with a casual confidence that sent shivers down Elena's spine. "There's more going on here than you think." Everything froze for a heartbeat, and then chaos erupted anew. A train jolt crashed through the car, rattling bodies and flicking off the last remnants of light. Voices screamed, the sounds colliding in disarray, and then a loud thud echoed through the compartment. Something, a body, tumbled through the door at the end of the car. It hit the floor with a sickening thud. "Elena!" Liam shouted, urgency lacing his tone, but she couldn't take her eyes off what lay before her. The figure was just a shadow, but as light flickered again, recognition rippled through the crowd. A woman, Not just any woman. Her heart dropped. Oh no, not her. No one had seen her in years. The last time, it was a bitter farewell, a divorce steeped in revenge. Rosalind, Liam's mother, known for her venomous charm and cold ambition, had crept into their lives like a ghost, haunting him from the past. She rose shakily, red lipstick smeared, eyes wild. "Surprise, my dear son." Liam's face drained of color, his mouth opening in disbelief. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "But of course I had to come to my darling's rescue," Rosalind crooned, stepping over the wreckage with unnerving elegance. "It's a family affair, don't you think?" The masked man faltered, his grip on Liam loosening. Suddenly, the tension shifted, like a wisp of smoke in a gust of wind. "What the hell are you doing?" he growled, eyes narrowing dangerously. Rosalind smiled, not an ounce of maternal warmth. "I'm here for the girl. She's my granddaughter after all." "What?" Liam gasped, shock etched into every feature of his face. She's not your leverage." But as she approached, something in her posture shifted, a predatory glint in her eyes. The crowd tensed, gasping as the pieces unfurled. "Oh, darling, you have no idea what I'm capable of. I can take care of this little problem for you." Zoe whined softly, crouched to her father's side, sensing the whirlwind. Elena felt her heart sink, something dark and twisted coiling in her gut. "You said you were done with this, Rosalind." She couldn't help herself. "You're a danger." But Rosalind simply waved her hand, dismissing her. "Stay out of this, child. You have no part in this family drama." "No," Liam shouted. "Don't you dare use her as a pawn." But the uncertainty hung thick. What did Rosalind want? How deeply had this loaded family tree tangled itself? As everything spiraled, the masked man laughed, a crude chuckle that echoed through the compartment. "Do you honestly think you can stop this? Look around you." His eyes glinted, and then with a flick of his wrist, he signaled to something hidden in the shadows. A group of figures emerging into the flickering lights, their faces masked, ready to act. Panic rippled through every passenger. "What are they?" a woman screamed, clutching her baby. Elena's mind raced. What was this connection? Who had Rosalind enlisted? The tension skyrocketed. Everything they thought they knew was collapsing, weaving tighter in an intricate game of desperation. And then a chilling realization dawned on Elena. Liam's childhood, his very foundation, wasn't just filled with memories of love lost. It had been a battleground, the dark undertows of betrayal lapping at the edges of everything. As Rosalind's laughter danced in the air, a cracked smile plastered on her face, she turned to Liam. "It's time for you to choose, dear. Protect your daughter, or align with your blood. Which life do you truly want?" Elena felt cold fear seep into her bones. The stakes had escalated far beyond anything she could have imagined. The shadows of the past were colliding with their reality. And with every breath, a choice loomed closer. What would Liam choose in this moment? And as the masked figures advanced, both toward Liam and the front of the train, a storm surged closer. The chaos was only beginning. Would they all break apart? Or would they stand their ground? The tension exploded. It felt like the whole subway was pulsing with electricity, the weight of every breath turning heavy. In the air, Rosalind stepped forward, eyes gleaming with a manic confidence, but Liam didn't back down. "You won't get away with this," he shouted, his voice strained but resolute. Zoe clung tightly to her father, sensing the danger looming like a storm cloud. But just as fear gripped them all, the masked man shifted his focus. "You think your mother can save you? She doesn't want you, Liam. She wants everything you've built, every piece of your life." Rosalind's smile barely faltered, but the darkness in her gaze deepened. "Oh, darling, I could tear it all down just to watch you squirm." The masked man's eyes danced with delight, like a puppet master relishing his show. Elena felt the air crackle, confusion mixing with an insatiable dread. "What are you all hiding?" she managed to shout over the growing chaos. "More than you can imagine," the masked man sneered. But just then, without warning, the subway car jolted again, more violently than before. This time, the screech of metal sounded almost like a warning. Then there was a loud crash, as if something had collided with the train itself. The lights flickered. Panic spread through the crowd, shadows wavered, and suddenly, someone pushed through the throng. A young man with an unkempt beard, hoodie pulled low over his eyes, stumbled into view. His face was pale, panic etched across it. "We need to get out, now." Elena blinked. "Who are you?" she asked, suddenly feeling everything shift again. He paused, urgency flashing in his eyes. "I'm here for Zoe." "What?" Liam cried out, and confusion swirled again, a chaotic dance around them. But the instant was cut short. The train shook again, this time accompanied by a deafening roar from the tunnel outside, an industrial sound, almost like a freight train barreling through solid steel. "He's coming!" the young man yelled. "We need to move." Rosalind shot a look of sheer disbelief, eyes narrowing. The masked man's grip on Liam faltered for just a split second, but it felt like an eternity. Then, from the depths of shadow, a figure emerged. Tall, broad-shouldered, and cloaked in darkness, he stepped into the dying light of the subway car, his face hidden behind a terrifying mask. "You're all so amusing," he boomed, voice dripping with sinister confidence. Liam's muscles tensed. "Get away from my daughter." But the masked figure waved his hand dismissively, stepping closer. "Oh, you misunderstand. I'm not here for her." Elena's breath caught. The fear spiraled as the man's intentions hung heavy in the air. "Who are you here for?" she asked, struggle for control evident in her voice. "Someone far more important than her," the man replied, eyes narrowing in a way that sent chills crawling up her spine. And just like that, it hit her. Everything shifted gears at once. No way. The shadows shifted and light flickered erratically, as if the entire world was on the brink of collapse. The young man's eyes darted fearfully around the compartment. "You don't know who you're messing with," he shouted. "This isn't just about your petty family issues. This involves everything." Suddenly, with a deafening crash, the train jolted once more. The masked figure looked furious, but before he could respond, something snapped from above, metal screeching, bolts giving way, and the air erupted with a shattering bang. Elena gasped, ducking instinctively. But through the haze of smoke and chaos, everything became clear for just a fraction of a second. The young man was trembling, eyes wide, and then he pointed directly at Liam. "Your past isn't just your past. It's what you need to face before it destroys everything." "That's not true," Liam shouted back, confusion morphing into anger. But doubts twisted inside Elena, uncertainty eating away at her. And, before they knew what was happening, the masked figure lunged forward, shoving past the young man, intent on reaching Liam, when suddenly the train creaked, an ominous shift, and then everything exploded in a blinding flash of light. Elena squeezed her eyes shut, the world collapsing around her. When she opened her eyes again, the scene had transformed. The masked figure was gone, along with Rosalind, dissolved into the shadows. But the young man stood rooted, trembling, and for the first time, the fear in his eyes shifted into something darker. A revelation. "You don't even know who I am, do you?" Every heartbeat felt like ice slicing through Elena's veins. "What?" The young man's face twisted into a smirk as the lights flickered back to life, revealing something shocking that brought new meaning to everything they thought they knew. Liam staggered back, shock freezing him in place. No, it can't be. And in that moment, they all stood at a crossroads of dark truths and unfathomable choices. What had just unfolded threatened to rip apart what little they had left. "Who are you really?" Elena demanded, heart pounding in her chest. The young man tilted his head, an eerie calm amidst the chaos. "I'm the key to everything." And then, the doors burst open, and the outside world came rushing in, leaving everyone gasping for breath, caught in the storm of destiny, secrets, and a truth that felt terrifyingly close, yet impossibly far. The scene pulsed with chaos, the air thick with fear and uncertainty. As the masked figure loomed closer, everything around Elena felt surreal. The young man stood there, the weight of his revelation hanging in the air like a dark omen. "I'm the key to everything," he repeated. But before anyone could process his words, something unexpected happened. A deafening crash echoed from the subway tunnel, shaking the very ground beneath them. Everyone froze, the world narrowing into a tense silence as the sound of screeching tires slashed through the air. The subway trembled as though it were alive, metal creaking and the lights flickered ominously above them. It was as if the subway itself was protesting against what was about to unfold. Then, out of nowhere, an explosion rocked the train, flames shooting through the gaps and smoke billowing in, swirling like a living thing. Screams filled the car, echoing in Elena's ears, drowning out every thought. Panic erupted, people scrambling, pushing, shouting, as the blazing inferno snaked closer, consuming everything in its path. "Everyone, get down," someone shouted, but it felt futile. Elena's instincts kicked in. She grabbed Liam's arm, pulling him away from the flames licking the edges of their reality. But Zoe, where was Zoe? Frantic eyes searched, barely seeing through the cacophony. And then she spotted her, a small figure, frozen in fear, at the back of the car, the light catching her curls as she stared wide-eyed at the unfolding chaos. "Zoe," Elena's voice pierced through the chaos. But before she could move, the same young man, the one who seemed to know too much, dashed toward her. "This way," he yelled, guiding her through the throng. But they were still engulfed in the darkness of the exploding chaos, the shadows expanding as if they were alive. Then from the smoke, Rosalind's voice cut through with a sharp clarity, flirting with malice. "You think you can save her? You have no idea what's about to happen." And suddenly, the young man stood still, turning to face her, a look of horror washing over his face. "No, it can't be." Elena's heart raced as she struggled to understand. "What do you mean?" But before he could respond, Rosalind continued, her sinister smile widening. "It's time for you to meet your true heritage, dear." And she gestured, revealing behind her another figure stepping through the wreckage. A woman, tall, with an aura of undeniable authority. A gasp escaped Liam's lips. "Mom? No, it couldn't be." Elena's chest tightened as she recognized the woman. "Angela, Liam's sister, lost years ago in a tragic accident." The darkness of the past welling up, consuming everything like the smoke that danced around them. "But you died," Liam breathed, his voice breaking. "How are you?" Angela's face twisted into a cruel grin. "Did you really think death could hold me?" "Oh no, brother. I've been waiting for the right moment." The world spun. What had she become? The sister lost to time had returned, her presence a heavy shroud of manipulation and revenge. "Everything you thought was buried, it's risen like a phoenix. Now you and your little princess are caught in my game." Angela's voice dripped with triumph as she surveyed the fear rippling through the crowd, echoing her own. "No, this can't be real," Liam shouted, but the revelation hung thick in the air like smoke. Elena clutched Liam's arm, panic swirling inside her. "What does this mean? What do you want?" Angela stepped closer, her gaze piercing. "Oh, it's simple. I want the power this family holds. And you, darling brother, are the key to unlocking it." But as the flames curled around them, threatening to engulf everything they knew, a laugh erupted from the masked man. "You're too late. The city is already under my control. You're just pawns in a much larger game." The truth collapsed around them, shattering every illusion of safety. The stakes were now unfathomably high. And just as this twisted family revelation began to sink in, the subway car lurched violently, metal screeching against metal. The ground shook, and the lights flickered one last time, plunging them into darkness. Then the shouting stopped, replaced by a deafening silence. Darkness enveloped them, and in that instant they were left hanging on the precipice of despair. What had this reunion unleashed? What lengths would they go to reclaim power? And as that silence stretched, Questions loomed heavier than the flames behind them. Would they all break apart? Or would this fractured family finally unite against a common enemy? The darkness swallowed them whole, and Elena felt her heart race. How could things have unraveled so fast? The echoes of chaos replaced the frantic breaths of scared passengers. Movement felt heavy. Fear coiled tighter around her throat, choking off words. She reached for Liam, whose face was a mask of disbelief. Angela, the sister they thought was lost forever, stood outside the realm of memory, her silhouette a nightmare materialized. The masked man cursed under his breath, stepping back, a ripple of surprise crossing his features. But something about this scene felt oddly familiar to Elena. A distant hum tugging at her consciousness. The feeling sank in like a stone. Angela smirked, stepping fully into the flickering light. "Oh, Lau, you won't believe how easy it was to hide all these years. A master of disguise, if you will." Everyone around them seemed to freeze, as if the air had thickened with disbelief. "You're real?" Liam stuttered, his voice barely a whisper. "How? Does it matter?" Angela laughed, an unsettling sound in the midst of chaos. But in that laugh, Elena noticed something deeper, a flicker of pain, a jagged edge of desperation. She met Liam's gaze, truly seeing the storm brewing in his eyes. "Wait," Elena said, narrowing her focus on Angela. "What do you want with Zoe?" Cutting through the tension, Angela's grin faded. "She's part of something bigger, sweetheart. Something our family isn't ready to reveal." The young man swallowed hard, stepping forward. "You might want to reconsider how deep this goes, Angela," he warned, voice trembling. "Your lies are about to catch fire." Then, a sudden jolt surged through the subway. Metal screamed as the entire train shivered, and Elena's instincts kicked in. "We need to get out," she shouted. But as the fear faded into urgency, Angela laughed again. "You're not running anywhere. You haven't uncovered the truth yet." "What truth?" Elena felt a lump rise in her throat. The shadows around them pulsated, and as if on cue, the blast from outside seared through the car windows. Light flooded in, and in that blinding moment, time felt suspended. Then something truly shocking happened. A glimmer of light drew everyone's attention. The sound of sirens wailed loudly in the distance, but Elena's focus shifted to a figure staggering toward them from the cloud of smoke outside. Her heart stopped. It was a woman, a nurse, scrub-stained and face smeared with soot. But what frozen Elena was the face she recognized all too well. "Mom?" Liam gasped. "No, it's not possible." The woman stumbled closer, eyes wide in panic. "Liam, I've been searching for you, for Zoe." Her voice trembled, swept away by the chaos. "There's something you need to know before it's too late." Elena felt sick. Her eyes darted between Liam and his mother, the woman who had abandoned him, thought lost in the winds of time. Everything twisted and turned. Angela sneered, stepping back, eyes narrowing in disbelief. "What are you doing here? You have no place in this." But the nurse stood her ground. "You think you can control everything? I know the truth about our family, about the darkness we've hidden." Liam's expression morphed into shock as he took a step toward her. "What do you mean?" "Before it all collapses, I need you to understand, Zoe's identity holds the key to our legacy. We're connected deeper than you can imagine." Shadows whispered. Time was ticking. A storm of emotions surged through Elena's chest. Liam's estranged mother, their past was clawing its way back, fierce and unrelenting. And that's when the masked man struck with a vicious grin. "You don't get to decide the narrative anymore." The train rumbled again, and Elena felt gravity shift, the air electric with anticipation. She realized that this was no family reunion. It was a reckoning. As the chaos escalated around them, something primal awakened within her. "What are you all hiding?" Her voice broke through the madness, echoing against the soot-stained walls. Moments passed like a blurring film reel, and part of Elena felt lost in the whirlwind of potential disaster. What was the truth? What lengths would they go to claim it? Just then, Liam grabbed her hand, eyes wide with resolve. A choice loomed, threatening to fracture everything they had left. They stood at the cusp of something monumental, and as darkness brewed, one question emerged. Could they rewrite their fate before it unraveled completely? The darkness swallowed them, and Elena felt her heart race. How could things have unraveled so fast? The echoes of chaos replaced the frantic breaths of scared passengers. Movement felt heavy. Fear coiled tighter around her throat, choking off words. She reached for Liam, whose face was a mask of disbelief. Angela, the sister they thought was lost forever, stood outside the realm of memory. Her silhouette a nightmare materialized. The masked man cursed under his breath, his face twisted with surprise. But something about this scene felt oddly familiar to Elena, a distant hum tugging at her consciousness. A cold dread slithered through her veins. "Stop!" the young man shouted, breaking the tension. "We don't have much time." Angela's smirk faded as she turned toward him. "Why do you always have to meddle? This doesn't concern you." "Oh, but it does," he shot back, voice trembling with urgency. "You don't realize what's at stake. The truth, it's about to blow." Elena's heart hammered as the air thickened around them. "What truth?" she demanded, her voice rising. But just then, an unexpected sound pierced through the chaos, a low rumble, followed by the horrible screeching of metal. Liam's mom stepped forward, panic creeping into her features. "We need to get out before this whole thing collapses." And with that, the walls around them trembled again. Then the lights flickered out completely, plunging the car into inky darkness. And that was when she heard it, soft but distinct, a faint whisper weaving through the panic enveloping them. "Mother." The word was almost lost in the roar of the chaos, but Elena caught it, and chills raced down her spine. Her breath caught when she recognized the voice. It was Zoe. Zoe. Liam's shout sliced through the darkness as if he could reach her. But the sound echoed, swallowed by the heavy air. Elena's heart raced anew, dread pooling in her stomach. Where was she? The chaos that followed was almost maddening, and suddenly, like a raw nerve, the whispers exploded. "Mother, is that you?" Zoe cried out, fear threading through her voice. Liam jerked, his face turning to pure terror. "No, not her." "This can't be happening. What's happening?" Elena managed to gasp, her voice losing strength. But before anyone could explain, a strange light flickered up from beneath the subway's floor. A shadow twisted and formed, coiling upward like smoke. As the glimmer widened, it created a figure. Not just anyone, a woman stepped through the light. Her long dark hair flowed like water, eyes radiant and piercing. Elena froze. "No, it's not possible." Angela clenched her fists. "You should not have shown yourself." But the woman's gaze was fierce as she stepped forward, illuminating the fear in every passenger's eyes. "You think you've hidden your secrets?" she said, voice resonating like thunder. "You're all tangled in lies. And now, it's time for the truth." "What truth?" Liam asked, anger lacing his voice. With a sweeping motion, almost as if she were orchestrating their fate, the woman raised her hands. "Zoe, come to me." Panic ignited again. "You can't take her," Liam yelled, arm outstretched. But it was too late. Zoe's small form began to float, her features serene yet eerily calm. Elena's heart nearly stopped. "No, Zoe." She fought against the impending dread wrapping around her like chains. But just then, the woman smiled, and with that smile came clarity that stabbed Elena's heart. "Zoe is the link, the bridge to everything." And in that instant, the room shook, past and present crashing against each other like the sound of explosions. "No," Liam cried, the ground shifting beneath him. "She's not your pawn." But as the truth swirled around them, something shattered within Elena, like a dark veil lifting. The woman wasn't just anyone. She was the key to unlocking the family secrets that had been buried. "You're our mother?" The words fled her lips without permission, raw and shocked. The air thickened. The realization splashed like ice water. Shockwaves coursed through the crowd, confusion written on every face. "Yes," the woman said, and all at once, Elena understood. The ground beneath them trembled again, as if shaking from the weight of all the unspoken truths. "Who is she really? Why now?" the young man murmured, his eyes flickering between the two women, searching for answers. Liam's head spun, 1,000 thoughts racing. You left," his voice cracked, hurt wrapped in confusion. "Because you should have never been involved in this world." As the flickering light illuminated more, the masked man stepped closer, eyes narrowing at Zoe, now floating and entranced. "Enough games, this isn't over." The masked man lunged toward the floating child. But as he made his move, an unexpected crack sounded, and everything shifted. The subway car jolted violently, glass shattered, and a blinding flash erupted. Elena shielded herself, bracing for impact. But just as chaos reigned, time froze for a breath, leaving one burning question in the wake of the madness. What was really happening, and what other secrets did their family hold? In that moment, the darkness swallowed them whole, and the shadows of the truth loomed larger than ever. The chaos around them reached a fever pitch, the air electric with desperation. The glow from the subway car flickered erratically, trapping them in a surreal tableau of fear and uncertainty. Zoe floated before them, her small body aglow with an otherworldly light, her expression serene. Amidst the turmoil, "Zoe!" Liam lunged forward, heart racing, but the woman who claimed to be their mother stepped in front of him, blocking his path. "No!" she shouted, her voice filled with urgency. "Don't let her manipulate you." Liam hesitated, confusion wrestling with instinct. "Who are you, really?" he demanded, eyes darting between Angela and the glowing figure of Zoe. Angela stepped into the light, her posture rigid. "I'll show you the truth, Liam. You deserve to know." The subway jolted again, and Elena grabbed Liam's hand, squeezing tight. "We can't trust her." Fear sliced through her, igniting a fire of determination. "We can't let them take Zoe." Beside them, the masked man sneered. "Your family is shattered, and you'll never piece it back together." Again, his eyes glinted with malice, devouring their hope. Just as the darkness felt impenetrable, the nurse that had emerged through the chaos moved closer to Zoe. "Listen to me," she cried, voice breaking. "Your powers can help us destroy this cycle of darkness. You're stronger than you know." Zoe's eyebrows furrowed in concentration. "I can feel it. I can feel all of you." Suddenly a surge of energy poured from Zoe, illuminating the subway with a gentle warmth. The shadows retreated, revealing frightened faces, each reflecting the weight of shared history. Elena realized they were bound together by more than blood, by pain and sacrifice. Angela's expression shifted, a flicker of fear crossing her face. "No, you don't understand the cost." But Zoe stood unyielding, light wrapping around her, like a protective cocoon. "I want to help. I won't let our family be broken anymore." With every heartbeat, past and present tangled closer, memories swirling into a maelstrom of potential. "We can end this," Liam shouted, stepping forward, his face resolute with newfound strength. "Together." The masked man roared in rage, but it was too late. Zoe raised her small hand, a beacon of pure hope illuminating through the chaos. The air shimmered as warmth flooded the car, pushing back the darkness, binding them all together with golden strands of light. Then, as if time itself had drawn a long breath, there was a massive explosion of light. Outward, upward, spiraling in every direction. Angela was flung back, her face full of horror as she lost her footing. Liam grasped Elena's arm tightly, and she felt adrenaline flood through her, igniting the room with fierce colors and emotions. "We've got this," she urged, heart pounding fiercely. "Stay together." With a final flicker, the blinding light receded, leaving behind the remnants of chaos and silence. The subway car came alive again, but this time it felt different. The air was thick with possibility and reunion. Elena turned to Liam, searching his face. "It's done, isn't it? We broke the cycle." He nodded, confusion still dancing in his eyes, but edged with hope. "But what about Angela? What about the masked man?" But in that moment, The dark figures dissolved into nothingness, dispersing into the air like smoke, leaving behind only the essence of their troubled pasts. Angela's laughter had dissolved into the darkness, leaving no trace, no claim. Zoe turned to her father, a smile breaking through her fear. "We did it, Dad." Tears welled in Liam's eyes as he gathered Zoe into his arms, holding her tightly, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "You're safe now, Zoe. You always will be." And as the train finally stilled, sunlight spilled through the shattered windows, illuminating the path ahead. They had faced their demons, but what lay before them shone with flickers of hope and healing. Elena reached out, touching Liam's arm. "We'll figure it out together. This is just the beginning." They could forge a new path, stitch together the tattered pieces of their family, stronger than ever. The shadows of the past had been painful, but the light was breaking through. And in that moment, they found their way back to each other, not just as family, but as survivors. You have to subscribe right now to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your support means everything, and only real fans understand the importance of showing up for the channel. Let's keep this community alive.